Hello everyone, it's Ryan Archer at West Ham Fan TV and I'm back with another top 5 video. This Saturday, West Ham take on Swansea City at the London Stadium. So my top 5 this week is going to be top 5 Wales internationals that have played for West Ham. So let's start off. Number 5, many of you, I think a lot of you, including myself, would not have heard of this player. But the good thing about doing this top 5 show is I have to look back through our history. And this one really caught my eye, this story of this player. So I had to get him in my top 5. So I'm going to go for number 5 is Phil Woosnam. He was a striker. He played 17 times for Wales. He scored 3 goals. So let me tell you a little bit about him. He signed for West Ham in 1958 for 30 grand. He left his job as a physics teacher at Leighton County High School to turn professional. He made 153 appearances for West Ham, scoring 29 goals before joining Aston Villa. This is where his career really took off after leaving Aston Villa, and this is what really caught my eye. He moved to the USA to play for the Atlanta Chiefs. He later went on to manage them, and he also went on to manage the USA national team in 1968. Just when you think it can't get any better, later on in life, he became the managing director of the marketing arm of US Soccer, which helped bring the World Cup to USA in 1994. So really, I mean, he was one of the first people, if you remember back in 94, it was one of my earliest World Cup memories after Italian 90. It brought as you call it, soccer in the USA. It put it on the map. And ever since then, as you know, US soccer has just grown and grown and grown. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So, I mean, he was one of the first people involved. And to have a connection with West Ham, I never knew that. So, like I said, looking through these top 5, when I do these videos, you find out a bit of facts and history. He was later on, in 1997, he was inducted into the US National Soccer Hall of Fame. I mean, later on in life, I mean, he died in 2013, aged 80. So, like I said, you know, not so much a legend for West Ham, even though he made 153 appearances. It was more to do with bringing football, our game, soccer as they call it over there, over to them, and he was involved in getting the World Cup. So that's my number 5. Moving on now to number 4, I'm going to go for Craig Bellamy. As we know, striker. He's played 78 times for Wales, scoring 19 goals. He joined West Ham from Liverpool for 7.5 million in July 2007. He signed a 5-year deal and he was our record signing at that time. His first 2 goals for West Ham come in a 2-1 League Cup win over Bristol Rovers, where he got 2 goals. He had a bit of a stop-start career at West Ham. A lot of injuries, couldn't get a good run of games. But he had an unbelievable scoring record for West Ham when he did play. I mean, at that time, he was at the club with Dean Ashton. And there was both, when one weren't injured, the other one was playing and vice versa. But when they was on the pitch together, they really got a good strike partnership going. It's a shame that we couldn't have seen the best of them two because, believe me, I think they would have scored a lot more goals and West Ham would have finished a lot higher up in the leagues than we did around that time. I mean, he scored 9 goals in 26 games in all competitions. It's a strike rate of 1 in 3. So imagine if he was fully fit. As we know, towards the end of his career, there was a lot of teams, including Tottenham, that was after him. But he joined Man City in January 2009 when City first started getting their money for 14 million. Rumours, I mean, I've heard that he didn't actually want to leave the club. He was happy at West Ham, but he did leave. But as I said, at the time he was at the club, it's such a shame that he couldn't stay injury-free because he'd have gone on to score a lot more goals for West Ham. Moving on now to number 3, I'm going to go for Jack Collison, midfielder. 15 caps for Wales, no goals. He broke into the first team at West Ham under Zola. He scored his first goal in a 3-1 home defeat to Everton. One thing I think he'll be remembered for is we played Tottenham on a Saturday. We lost 2-1 at home. He played full 90 minutes. And unfortunately, after that game, he found out that his dad passed away in a motorcycle accident on his way to the game. You think that he'd want a bit of time out of football, but no. 2 days later, we played Millwall at home in the League Cup, and he played. And I think ever since that moment, the fans just really took to Jack Collison. You know, to do that, to play in a higher profile game like that. We ended up beating Millwall 3-1 after extra time. But like I said, it was an emotional night. I remember him coming off, tears in his eyes, but the West Ham fans got right behind him. It was also a big part of Big Sam's squad to get promoted back to the Premier League in 2012. He scored 2 crucial goals in the first leg of the semi-final playoffs against Cardiff. After that, I mean, he had a lot of injuries through West Ham, at his time at West Ham. A lot of long-term injuries. And yeah, I mean, after that, he sort of died down at West Ham. He was in and out the first team. He went on loan to Wigan at one point. And I think at the end of the 2013-14 season, West Ham released him. He made 121 appearances, scoring 14 goals for West Ham. Huge fans' favourite. You know, he's a very talented midfielder. July this year, 2017, he actually rejoined the club as the under-16 manager. So it's good to see him back at the club. Such a shame that his career was cut short by injury. But like I said, a proper talented midfielder. So let's move on now to my number 2. Big fan of his, huge favourite of mine during his time at the club. I'm going to go for big John Hartson. Striker, as we know, 51 caps for Wales, 14 goals. We signed him in February 1997. We was battling against relegation. We signed him with Paul Kitson to get the goals to keep us up. His first goal for West Ham coming a 4-3 home win against Spurs. I mean, one of the greatest games I've ever seen at the Bowling. Diving there, and I remember him muscling Sol Campbell out of the way to get the header at the back post. He scored 5 goals in 11 games in that season. Him and Paul Kitson kept us up. The next season is where he really kicked on. He scored 24 goals in 42 games in all competitions. He was the last player to score over 20 goals for us. One thing that he's mainly remembered for, other than his goals at West Ham, is the Isle Berkovic incident. We've all seen it. Training ground incident where Berkovic had a swipe at him and John Hartson kicked out at him, nearly put his head in the top corner. But look, even he said after that, he felt his career was going downhill. He had to leave West Ham. His last ever game for West Ham was against Swansea in a 1-0 FA Cup defeat. Which they was his boyhood club. You know, he's a supporter of them. So, I mean, in total, he scored 33 goals in 73 games. And I had the chance, it was my first ever one-on-one interview of a player. I had a chance to sit down with John Hartson and talk to him about his career. So, I mean, go and have a look back at that on our channel if you want to watch that. It was a great interview. It was an honour to meet him. It was an absolute pleasure to see him play for West Ham, see him scoring goals for fun. Just a shame the way it ended for him, but I'd always remember John Hartson as a goal scorer at West Ham. So now let's move on to my number 1. I think we know we're all going with this. It's the one and only James Collins, Ginger Pele, defender, 51 caps for Wales, 3 goals. He helped Wales reach the Euro 2016 semi-final where they lost out to the winners, Portugal 2-0. But look, they were the real winners of the tournament. I think everyone stood up, everyone got behind Wales. Apart from England, we did actually beat them, but they did get further, so I'm not going to gloat too much. Collins joined from Cardiff back in 2005 under Pardew. Danny Gabardon as well was part of the deal. 3.5 million for both of them, bargains. He's an old-fashioned centre-back. He did leave West Ham in 2009 to join Aston Villa, but he rejoined back in 2012 under Big Sam. He's made over 200 appearances for West Ham, scoring 8 goals in 2 spells at the club, as I said. And he's still playing now. He's out injured at the moment. But look, I could sit here all night and talk about James Collins. Sorry. You know, he's a fan's favourite. He's still going strong at 34. You know, if he was 5 years younger, he'd be the first name on the team sheet every single week. He never lets you down. He's an absolute rock. For me, for his 2 spells at the club, I'd love to see him sort of get a testimonial when he actually retires. He deserves it. There's only one Ginger Pele, as we sing, and like I said, he's been an absolute great servant for West Ham over 2 spells. And like he's still going strong this season. Once he's back from injury, you know, he'll be battling to get back into that team, and he never lets us down. And that is why there is only one Ginger Pele. So look, that's my top 5. I mean, there was 14 players who have played for Wales and West Ham over the time. But these were the top 5 that, lucky enough, I've been lucky enough to see 4 of these actually play. Number 1, Phil Woosman I did put him in now because of the story. But look, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you're a regular, thank you so much for sticking with us. We've got so much content coming up over the next week. We've got Dan's West Ham Weekly going up. We've got On the Social going up. Nikki will have her musings going up. We've got all the fan cams from the Swansea game. Hopefully they're happy fan cams and we win. And then of course post-match point. So look, leave your comments below. As always, keep subscribing. And yeah, just give me your thoughts. So I'll leave that there. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Ryan Archer at West Ham Fan TV. Come on, you Irons.